Hey, good morning, everybody, and welcome to another Telling It Like It Is. My name is Jade Alberts, the founder of Peer Guidance. We guide, listen, and connect small businesses, startups, and entrepreneurs. Sharing knowledge and stories is why I started this. It is live. If you have any questions, please ask them. We'll get to them. If you're watching this after the fact on a social media channel, ask your question and we will answer them. I'd like to thank Community Now Magazine for their support. Their third anniversary edition is out right now. It's really cool. Check them out. Their link is in the comment section. Just click on it. It'll take you right there. I'm excited about today's guest. His name is Michael Zouhri, founder of PainWorth. Michael, how are you today? And thank you for joining me.
I'm good. It's been a full week already. I've been excited to get on the program to talk to you, Jane. It's been a couple months in the making, but I'm glad we made it happen. So,
yeah, I know, and I wanted to thank you. You are the only person that I've ever asked to move an interview, and it's so gracious. And I'm pumped that we're here because I think what you have to offer is so unique.
Thank you. Yeah. I'm super excited to be here. It's a little early in the morning. I had a late night, but I got up just for you.
I appreciate that. Oh, that's awesome. Thank you. I always like talking about how we met, and it was through the Alberta Technology Newsletter. You saw a little article. You reached out, and I'm very glad you did because I'm so excited to share the PainWorth story.
Thank you.
So what I'll do is I'll give a brief little introduction here, and then we'll get after it. So Michael is an Edmonton-based entrepreneur and humanitarian who's previously won several awards, including Top 40 Under 40 and a Medal from the Queen. He is deeply community-minded and regularly involves himself with projects that are interesting, creative, and advance the social good. So before I get into the question, I just want to say, how did you get a Medal from the Queen?
Oh, well, it feels like forever ago. Feel like I've lived several lives now, but yeah, when I was in my early 20s, I was super into nonprofits. I even started one which went national, which was kind of an interesting experience in itself. And yeah, just basically through a lot of the community effort and a lot of the community building and volunteering and things that I had done, and some of the successes that we had, I was nominated for it was the Queen's Diamond Jubilee Medal, and then one of the members of Parliament, phoned me up one day and said, we want to honor you with this. And I went down to it was actually in Sherwood Park. There was a big ceremony. There's probably, I think it was like 25 other Edmonton, Northern Alberta sort of people in the room who were also receiving one, and yeah, it was kind of cool because my family came out. I was in my mid-20s at the time, so yeah, no, it was exciting.
That's awesome! What an honor! I've never talked to anyone that's won a medal from the Queen, so it's that's extremely awesome honor.
Yeah, it's really cool. It comes with a book of all of the different insignias that you have, and it comes with an instruction guide on how you're supposed to wear it. So there's like formal rules for how you're supposed to wear the medal and when you're supposed to wear the medal, like what size, what order in case you have multiple medals, things like that. So yeah, no, I think it's cool. I don't usually have places I can wear it, so I just wear it around the house.
Hey, you have it. That's all that matters. That's impressive. That's a great honor. Congrats.
Thank you.
So I guess like many other entrepreneurs, an idea comes from a personal experience, and yours is no different. Maybe in the fact that it was a very negative experience. So why don't you please share your story with us?
Yeah. So the company that we have now, PainWorth, is probably a company that wouldn't have been started if it wasn't for this negative experience. I certainly wasn't looking to do anything like this. Basically, on January 12th, 2019, so a little over a year and a half ago, I was actually struck by a drunk driver. And needless to say, that's not something that anyone should try and replicate or do. It sucks. It hurts. That is not where, inspiration for your next project should come from. Definitely don't do the thing. It's no fun, no bueno. But yeah, no, I got hit by a drunk driver. EMS, emergency crews arrived on the scene. I was rushed to the Misericordia Hospital. I had an emergency CT scan done, and I basically spent the next couple months bedridden, in hard recovery. Like I said, don't do the thing. It sucks. I still to this day go for paramedical treatments and medical treatments. I average about 3 times a week, and I've got some injuries that will affect me for the rest of my life. So like I said, don't do the thing. But when you go through something like that, you end up, I think like most people, with a legal case. And I did what I think most other people do, which is I started looking for a legal services provider to help me out with, sort of the case and go through it. And honestly, like what a like broken and dysfunctional and frustrating experience. It was just, it almost felt like putting salt on an open wound. There's all kinds of things that are wrong with it, just like aside from just being super expensive, also being slow, and also being not very transparent, not really understanding what the process was, not being able to have someone to communicate despite maybe paying a professional. So anyway, I just got really frustrated by just everything about that system. Like I just felt like the whole thing was broken and sucked, and so to sort of save myself, sort of out of an act of desperation, I took myself down to the law library, or more specifically, a friend of mine who is a civil litigator took me down to the law library and showed me how to even use the law library. And I just read books on like how to litigate and settle my own case. Like, how do I manage it? How do I litigate it? How do I settle it? Yeah, the big secret is it's not terribly difficult. And I think that was super surprising to me. It's hard now, because now I know so much more than I did then to sort of remember all of the things I was naive to back then. But I do remember being very surprised at how relatively straightforward it was. Like it wasn't that big of a deal. So one of the first things that sort of stood out was, well, if it's really this cut and dry in terms of like how to proceed forward and the steps that I need to do, I think I can automate this. So I did. I built a very simple tool just for myself, just to automate my own case, automate and manage it. And it was after I had built that tool, that very first version. I called it a quantum lookup, and the reason that it was called that is because that's a legal term. I'm not a lawyer, for the record, for everyone who's watching. I most certainly am not. I'm a technology guy, but I'm not a lawyer. But anyway, quantum is sort of the way that lawyers refer to damages that are owed. So I called it a quantum lookup. And when I started talking about this quantum lookup that I had built for myself, access to justice groups across the country actually started telling me, listen, Mike, what you don't even realize that you had built is this small tool, maybe to you, but for the rest of us, it's a very meaningful step towards this big, broad problem that we call accessibility to the justice system. So they went on to tell me that apparently every 4 years, 13 million Canadians are completely locked out of the justice system. And there's lots of reasons for it. All of this I was completely surprised to hear. I didn't know any of this before they shared it with me. So they told me things like people get locked out of the justice system because they can't financially afford maybe a lawyer, or maybe they live in a rural and remote community where there simply isn't one available. Or in many situations, maybe they have just really bad case economics, right? So for example, if your case is only worth $10,000, it's going to be very, very hard to convince a working professional to take it on, just because the economics aren't favorable. So that really surprised me. So on July 4th, 2019, and I remember the date because it was American Independence Day, we sort of put up a landing page on the internet, and we said, listen, if anyone has this problem at all, just sign up. Just like, here's this online Google document form. Just sign up and let us know. a few months later, we went live with hundreds of people on our first day. So October 29th, 2019, we already had like hundreds of claims already submitted and signed up to use this product that we hadn't even launched yet. So launched was October 29th, 2019. And the really cool thing is on November 22nd, 2019, a user actually wrote in to let us know that they had made the first settlement using the platform. Wow. And that was incredible to hear because we are a data science project. So we just analyze data and we make it available. And one of the things that I know from analyzing the data is that on average in Canada, from the date of incident to the date of settlement or judgment, it's about 5 years. So for someone to do that in 22 days or 23 days is like phenomenal. Like it's a process improvement of more than 30x.
Wow.
Yeah, so we've just been carrying on ever since then. But that's basically how it got started. It was me trying to save myself from what I felt was a broken and dysfunctional system.
No, and I've been through that process, and I hope, as you said, I hope no one ever goes through it. I mean, obviously that's not realistic, and something that you've created is great and meaningful and takes some of the process out of it. So speaking of the process, let us know how this works. Walk us through it.
Yeah, well, first up, it's the type of product where I honestly say to people, like, I genuinely hope you never need to be a user, because if you're a user, it means something terrible has happened, unfortunately. So yeah, but the product itself is relatively simple. I mean, there are some complexities in it today that make it much more sophisticated than when we initially launched, and more importantly, more sophisticated than the original tool that I built for myself. But in general, at a very high level, a user will log in to the system. So you go to our website, PainWorth.com, and you log in. And when you log into the website, there's a couple very simple questions that we ask you. And then as soon as we start asking you the questions, it starts self-guiding you to sort of the next step in the process. So based off of your answers, we take you to the next series of questions and so on and so forth. So it's user self-guided. And once you perform all of the questions and answers, there's only a few, it's not that many. The system will do calculations based off of all of your inputs. It'll say, okay, so you told us all these things and you say all these things happen to be true. If so, then here's the calculation applied to all of that data. And some of the calculation includes pulling up relevant case law. So that's one of the hardest things is to actually like figure out what is relevant case law for, you know, this series of injuries that you've experienced and this type of situation that you're going through. Finds the relevant case law and then, you know, figures out all the numbers, adjusts everything for inflation, and then figures out where you fall on sort of that bell curve. And then it does all of the other sorts of adjustments as well. So it does things like prejudgment interest. It does things like mileage calculation. So it's always polling the internet to try and figure out, well, what is the government prescribed rate today for things like mileage? It pulls things like statistical tables for working life expectancy, just everything that an economist might do if an economist was trying to weigh out your case specifically. So all of the types of numbers, all of the statistical figures, etc. It pulls all that automatically, and then it summarizes everything for the user and says, okay, here's your number for your case based off of the inputs that you've told the system. And then here's the next step. Here's what you do now. Now that you know. The biggest challenge with these types of cases is not the actual process. The biggest challenge is just figuring out like how much is your broken leg worth. And if you ask somebody that, the chance of them knowing is next to zero, right? Like, I mean, nobody's going to know what their leg is worth in terms of like a broken leg or something like that. You can't Google search this information. It's not out there. Until now. now we built the thing, so now it's out there. But aside from that, like, no, nobody could ever do that. And that's the hardest part. In fact, professionals on both sides, so on the insurance side and on the lawyer side, guess that number. The way that they guess it is they read 2 or 3 examples of case law where someone had injuries that were kind of similar to yours, like just kind of. And then they say, okay, well, that guy got 20, this other one got 30. We'll ask for 25 and we'll just see what happens. And they do that on both sides. So, one side will pick really high and the other side will pick really low. And then they'll fight for the next 5 years about that. While you, the claimant, the victim, are just waiting, sort of waiting, stuck in the process. And actually, to be fair, even the insurance company is stuck waiting in the process too. Trust me, the executive team at the insurance companies, they do not like these things waiting in the process. But sort of the professionals who are fighting the other professionals back and forth, yeah, they'll debate those things for a long time, and that's not good for either party.
No, absolutely. No, I mean, and it's not. And for those of you who are just joining us, I'm talking to Michael, founder of PainWorth. You can just click on the website in the comments section. It'll take you right to their website. I hope you don't have to use it like we talked about, but if you do, this will definitely simplify the process. So I want to just kind of discuss, I mean, the insurance industry and kind of the law industry have been, I don't know, the same plateau. Nothing changes, nothing really innovative. I mean, I think the Good Lawyer has done something really good. Another Alberta-based company here to give you access to a lawyer to get some advice. So how did you navigate this when you're trying to tell them and talk tech and the AI and how you're going to work with this? Was that a challenge?
Yeah. So first up, your point is spot on. Like both the legal and the insurance industry are historically slow to adopt technology. I was surprised to see just how bad it was. And I've been privileged now to be able to see systems on both sides. And they are, they're straight out of the 90s, sometimes even worse. So yeah, no. It's really bad. But navigating the system from like a principle standpoint and like a procedural standpoint was much more straightforward. Like that stuff is easy to do once you understand the system. The good news is nothing like this has ever been put out there, so I didn't have to change anyone's sort of procedures. Their procedures were their procedures, but they weren't using technology anyway that does anything like this. This was a very manual process before. So for me, navigating it on a technological front was really just about innovating something new and building it. And there wasn't sort of procedures to navigate because they never used or did anything like this prior to our existence. It wasn't out there. So, I didn't have to convince anyone about change management or anything like that. It was just about like human and then automation, like which one are we looking at here? So that was pretty straightforward. As far as like, let's say the actual like procedures and stuff, that's all very, very straightforward. It's, if this, then that. Yeah, it's pretty cut and dry. The hardest thing to navigate, honestly, was just getting the information. Getting the information to figure out what to do. Once you know what to do, it's pretty straightforward and easy. Getting the information was the hardest part because, as I had mentioned earlier about like, knowing what an injury is worth, for example, that stuff you can't Google. And just like that, you also can't Google many steps in the process. Like who do you contact? Where do you go? How do you file? What do you do after you file? What do you do in certain weird circumstances? None of that was out there, so I had to find all of that stuff downtown from a law library book. The good thing about our project in particular is very early on in the process, we had a lot of professionals start navigating towards us and then offering, to sort of support the project in various capacities. And the support of those individuals actually really helped us figure out, what to do and how to do it. And which book to read too, right? Like, I mean,
Yeah.
that can't be understated as well. So yeah, a lot of experienced professionals on both sides actually helped me figure out a lot of things like that, just from an informational standpoint.
Well, no, that's good. And I mean, you walking through that process as you're building this probably helped a lot as well. I mean, it's experiencing it firsthand, fresh in your mind, not something like from 20 years ago, thinking I can do this. And I'm sure you'd rather not have done it, but I'm sure that helped a lot.
Yeah, I mean, I literally had to do many steps in the process myself, like serving somebody. Like I didn't even know what a process server was before, but it's just like in the movies where sort of guy comes out and says, "Oh, here's some papers for you, Jade. You've now been served." So I didn't know what that was, and I didn't know all the ways that one could get that done. So I had to learn those things. But as I learned them, I sort of documented what I had to go through, and then that gave me a very clear roadmap for how to help other people. So sometimes it's just publishing the information, like these are the steps and these are the definitions and this is what everything means. And in other cases, it's literally just automating it. It's like, it doesn't make sense to have to do this, this, this. I'll just make it so you click a button and it's done.
No, for sure. And I mean, what as we mentioned before, taking such a painful experience and, in someone's life and traumatizing experience and hopefully turning it into something that can help them moving forward and taking away the process that, again, is awful. So what's next for PainWorth?
Yeah, so well, I think what's next is to keep growing and to keep showing people that, one, these systems that, a lot of people sort of take for granted and think, that's just always how it's been, actually can be reformed and can be done better. So I think just by virtue of us being out there, we're sort of proving a point that reform in the civil justice system is possible. We can use technology to solve these problems. Our courts are buckling under the load of all of these issues right now because they're not built to handle these things. So yeah, no, I really want to just keep growing and taking this thing as big as we can get and international as well. Right now, one of the really cool things about what we've done is we actually get thank you letters. When you build technology, you sort of never expect to get a thank you, if that makes any sense. Sort of, you build an app and you put it on the internet and you just expect people to use it and kind of take it for granted. But yeah, no, it's really, really cool because in the last, I don't know, 6 months or so, we've probably been getting dozens of thank you letters per month. Like, it's not hundreds or thousands or anything like that. But compared to, the many users who are actively in the system, it's still quite a significant, percentage. So the idea that, people are out there and they're grateful for the product and they write me these long, heartfelt thank yous saying, this has helped me in X, Y, and Z ways. I don't know. It's really touching. It really makes us like want to, do more and keep innovating in the system. Because as you mentioned, like when people find us, they're usually at like a really terrible point in their life. And because of that, because of that, they don't need any additional hardship on top of it. And unfortunately, the existing system is used to doing that. So hopefully we can take and alleviate a lot of that away. And it's such a joy whenever we hear that we have successfully done that for someone, which is really cool. Users are constantly surprising us too. I had an email a few weeks ago, it's probably about 6 weeks ago now, where a user actually wrote us to let us know that they settled a Human Rights Commission complaint using our software. How do you settle an Alberta Human Rights Commission complaint? I don't know. I have no idea. But apparently, yeah, something that we built was helpful for this person to be able to do that. And other users are writing in telling us about other use cases as well. I mean, we only built it for personal injury, but clearly it's helping other people with other issues that we never anticipated. So I'm really eager to start exploring some of those other issues that people are finding use cases for, and trying to figure out like what we can do in those verticals as well. I mean, first we have to finish up what we're doing in the injury space, but after that, it seems like there's maybe boundless potential to help other areas of the civil justice system.
Well, that's awesome. Potential's finding you and possible growth areas, which is usually not the case in a startup.
Yeah, no, it's crazy. We have users reaching out from as far away as Australia. I mean, I talked to some people last week from Georgia and from California and from the UK, and like I said, I've had users reach out from Australia, which is funny because right now, like today, as of this recording, the platform is really only catered for Canada. It's only catered for Canada. Technically, it will work in the other jurisdictions. I just have to change out the data, but it's not tweaked for any of those jurisdictions yet. We're working on it, and we're only working on it because people are literally asking for us. They're contacting us saying, "Hey, I'm in New Zealand or whatever, and I want to use the thing." So. Wow. Yeah, so they are finding us, which is awesome. I mean, it's wonderful.
No, that is wonderful, and that's great to hear. Something that you created is taking off with a mind of its own, so to say. So that's congratulations.
Thank you. Yeah, no, it's hard to keep up with actually right now. I think by no stretch of the imagination we're definitely the first, and I guess that de facto makes us the biggest. So.
Yeah, no doubt. So I guess this is fresh in your mind, and I always ask this as my last question. I think we could go on for another hour here talking about potential and what it'll be, and the difference between Canada and the States, and all the stuff that goes on there. And actually, I'll probably introduce you to Daphne Canales-Lees, because she's actually starting to work with some personal injury lawyers down in Southern California. So I think that might be a good time to chat with her. She might be watching this, who knows? But if you had one piece of advice for a small business startup or entrepreneur, Mike, what would that be?
Yeah, so that one's pretty simple. Anecdotally, from my experience, when you start something and you start doing something, people will find you and will offer to help. Say yes. It's really that simple. Say yes. People want to help you on your journey. People will meet you and offer, and your job is to say yes. I think that's one of the secrets to our growth so far, is just we've been very willing to sort of open up and allow people to contribute when they want to contribute. I mean, we never ask for it, but whenever people come forward and say, "Hey, listen, I'd like to help you with this or that," we just always say yes. Even if it's not the right thing per se, it always invariably leads to other opportunities and other connections. And I think that's honestly been the secret to our rapid growth, because in only a very few short months, I mean, we're serving, thousands of people per week now. So, just say yes. Just say yes when people want to help, and don't be afraid to ask, for help too. Like, people will come forward and volunteer it, but if you ever find that you do need help, and nobody has explicitly stated that they can help you with the thing, just put it out there to your community and say, "Listen, I'm looking to meet so-and-so, or I don't know how to do X," and just be very vulnerable like that. And you'll often find that people will, like I said, want to help, and you'd be surprised with who can help you with what, and what sort of opportunities they can open up for you. So yeah, just be very honest about those things and say yes.
Oh, I couldn't agree more. You hear me say it all the time. Asking for help is not a sign of weakness, and that's one thing I love about our entrepreneurial community here in Alberta. It's we're always there for each other. Someone's always willing to help you or give you an introduction or whatever it may be, and it's what makes us unique, I think, across Canada. I can't speak for a lot of the other provinces, but being so hands-on here, it is one of the benefits of doing business in Alberta.
I think that's 100% true. And I mean, we try to pay that forward as much as we can too. Like every time I take a meeting with someone new, I always ask them at the end, like, what is it that I can do to sort of add value to whatever you're working on? So I try and prompt people I meet to ask for help because I believe in it so much, because it's been such a powerhouse for us. And I'm no longer shy to ask. So I try to encourage other people to, sometimes by goading them into it, by saying, listen, what can I literally help you with? What are you working on that I can, add value to?
No, that's awesome. That is great. And I really appreciate you spending a half an hour with us today, Mike, sharing your story. I'm hoping that your recovery is coming along. I know even mine 20 years later it's a lifelong recovery. It's always something that you have to work on, stretch, stay active. Can't sit for too long. All the things that it is what it is. But I hope very, very grateful for you creating something like this that will help hopefully millions and millions of people across the world.
Thank you. Yeah, no, it's long overdue. In all honesty, I was surprised, when we were the first, but it's long overdue. It's about time. So we're gonna make this system a lot better for people, a lot more humane.
No, absolutely. And for anybody, just go to PainWorth.com, click on the website. It is in the comments section. Thank you to Community Now for sponsoring and all the work that you do within the community here. Again, the Community Now magazine.com is also in the comments section. Again, Mike, thanks for your time today, and enjoy the rest of your week.
Thank you so much for having me today, Jay. It was such a pleasure.
You betcha. We'll talk soon. Take care, everybody. Bye-bye.